whole lot of loving is what we'll be bringing. We'll make you happy.
Hello and welcome to episode 23, part 4 of Emotional Intelligence. Today I'm so excited to complete our focus on the emotional IQ inventory. But before we begin, I want to share an important fact. And that is that I have provided, with my book, The School That Love Built, I have provided a copy, and you can't read it from here obviously, but this is the emotional IQ inventory for the second and third graders, and there are only 27 questions on it. And then on the next page, I have the advanced copy of the emotional IQ inventory for the 4th through 8th graders, on which there are 48 questions, so it's much larger. So there you have it, what I'm talking about, what I'm showing you today. You have your own copy of it when you buy The School That Love Built. So here we go. Now, before we begin today, I'm going to share my heart with you and give you an update on a new addition to my program. One of the most important purposes of starting our Schools with Heart channel is because I wanted to create a platform where teachers could build a community of SEL enthusiasts, a group of educators wholly committed to making social emotional learning their number one priority in the classroom and in their personal lives as well. I know only too well that although I've accrued a treasure trove of SEL tools, strategies, and ideas over the years that together have created a powerfully transformative curriculum, there are many yet to be discovered. And that's why working with other like-minded teachers across the nation excites me so. If you have an idea that will enhance my program and help my students, I want to hear about it. The last thing I want is for you to think that I have all the answers and insights. Even worse, for you to think that I think I have all the answers, period. Just in the last few days, for example, I've been working on an entirely new focus, courtesy. You would think that courtesy would already be an integral component of my curriculum, because after all, courtesy is all about how we treat others, and that's emotional intelligence. But if you read both of my books, you won't see the word courtesy on any page. The new focus was born, as have been all other important focuses over the years, as a result of a need of some kind. In my current situation, it was a need for a brand new approach to teaching our 7th and 8th graders how to treat each other with extraordinary respect, something they've been sorely lacking ever since I've known them. The saying, necessity is the mother of invention, is so true. So this week, I've been all over the internet, inventing, because I'll never be satisfied until every single one of our 7th and 8th graders treats each other and their teachers courteously. I've been reading about courtesy, watching videos, looking for books, and planning new posters. That's how I do it. I get an idea and I start from scratch. But just think, what if a teacher in Mississippi already has a fabulous curriculum on courtesy? And what if the teacher shared it with thousands of other teachers who struggle with rudeness and disrespect? You get my point. I'm sharing my heart with you today on this topic because I want you to know my vision for this channel. It's not all about Olivia LaField. I just want to be the teacher who brings us all together, the teacher who gets the ball rolling, who gets the movement started. In a future video, I'll share my courtesy curriculum with you, but for now, I'm still working on it, still believing with all my heart that it's going to make a big difference. It's going to help us create a positive atmosphere. Number 9 on our Respect Expectations posters. Okay, in the last video, I explained all about how to introduce the emotional EQ inventory and an engaging anticipatory set. And I spent quite a bit of time guiding you through how I help my students answer the all-important question number 1, I respect myself. Today we're going to continue with the inventory, one question at a time. Keep in mind as you watch that a copy of the inventory, as I said, is in both my books actually, but the updated one that you see here on my whiteboard is from that second book, Schools with Heart. And it's the one I recommend using. If you, like me, take several periods to complete the inventory, depending on how much time you spend with each question and your students' attention spans, be sure to remind them at the beginning of each new segment to not get ahead and to own the absolute truth about each question, without which they cannot hope to grow, improve, and ultimately reach their full emotional intelligence potential. How seriously you portray the importance of the inventory determines how seriously your students embrace the truth and grow. So now let's take a close look at the Emotional IQ Inventory, a powerful tool you will adopt to help your students assess their emotional intelligence. Okay, so I hope you can see this. I hope it's big enough. I really enlarged it for this video as much as I could. And so there's a lot of them. We're going to go fairly quickly, not go into way into detail, but you will see by the time I finish that these all of them came from Daniel Goleman's book, and I might have I reworded them in different ways, but they all have to do with being smart about your feelings and the feelings of others. I should send that. That is, I created that definition of it myself. I came up with it a few years ago. I thought, I've got to come up with a definition of this that the little ones can actually recite. And being smart about your feelings and the feelings of others really covers it. And our second graders know that by heart. So here we go. Number 2 is, I care about and respect the feelings of others. Remember now, you're going to talk about each one of these. You're going to say, do you care about the feelings of the clerk in the store and the custodian and the little girl down the street? We're talking about all others. That's the essence of emotional intelligence right there, number 2. Number 3, I think happy, positive thoughts. So much about being emotionally intelligent is when you're smart about your feelings. Your feelings come from your thoughts. You talk about that. I feel happy. So 3 and 4 go together. When you think happy thoughts, you feel happy. You get kids really realizing that their thoughts lead to feelings. Number 5, I feel sad thoughts. I think sad thoughts. Number 6, I feel sad. Oh boy, do we connect that. How many of you have sad thoughts? I'm stupid, I'm ugly, nobody likes me, I stop at these questions and we talk. Don't hesitate. Oh, you must talk about them. Number 7, I feel angry. So many students have anger problems these days. We know that. Talk about how doesn't make you bad to feel angry, and so get them talking about, I get so mad when, And then number 8 goes with 7, I calm myself when I feel stressed, which is like angry. I can calm myself down. Number 9, I can control my behavior. At this point, if your students feel safe, they can say, I throw things, I can't help it, I scream, I yell, talk about that. Number 10, I lose control of my behavior. So 9 and 10 go together. I can control my behavior. I lose control of my behavior. And then talk about what are the ultimate results of someone who grows up and never learns to control their behavior. It's prison. It's the worst case scenario, of course. And many of our students' fathers are in prison. They can relate. Number 11, I set goals to improve my behavior. Very few students really do intentionally set goals. I've learned from all my years' experience, most of them I'm the first teacher who ever focused on goals. Number 12, I tell the truth. Boy, do we talk about that. How many of you, get them owning the truth. I lie all the time. I, just talk about the truth. And remember, if this is a problem for them, like if they have a 5 on that, like, oh no, let's say they have a 1. I never tell the truth. 1 is never. I never tell the truth. That means they lie all the time. Then have them circle that 12, because that needs to be a goal for the whole year. They circle the numbers that are a problem, and they write it on the piece of paper that you gave them. And then ultimately, when they make their journals, they use that piece of paper to transpose their goals into their journals. I treat others the way I want to be treated. That's the golden rule. Talk about the golden rule. That's totally connected to number 2. If you care about the feelings of others, you're going to treat them right. That's emotional intelligence. I'm smart about my feelings and the feelings of others. Number 14, I get along with my friends. Lots of kids fight with their friends. That's a real personal answer. I argue with my friends. Give them a chance to say, no, I really don't. We fight all the time, and that has tons to do with emotional intelligence. 16, I have a hard time admitting that I'm wrong. So many of our students have a problem with that. They are so stubborn. Oh my gosh, it's pandemic. Get them to admit it. 17, I feel bad when I hurt others' feelings. This is remorse. Do you feel remorse? I've had in the past kids who say, it doesn't bother me to hurt people's feelings, and that's the beginning of a sociopath. I say I'm sorry right away. Now, the key words there are right away. You don't wait, for days and days to finally say you're sorry. You admit that you're wrong. I'm sorry, I was wrong. Right away. Number 19, I listen to others to hear their side of the story. Is it all about you, or is it all about their feelings too? That is emotional intelligence. Number 20, I tell people how I feel. So many students do not do that. They hold their feelings in. You have to talk about how that hurts them. And why do they? Ask them, why do you hold your feelings in? That's a really good topic. 21, I solve my conflicts peacefully right away. Big one. So many students have a problem with that. They fight and they don't do it right away. And so many of my students circle number 21. 22, I forgive others. We talk about forgiveness, that there is no healing, there's no getting over anger and resentment until you can learn to forgive. And so many of them are stubborn about that. I forgive others. 23, I listen to my heart's voice and do the right thing. I wrote a poem called Heart's Voice. It's in my book, both my books. And it's your conscience, but I call it their heart's voice. And so you talk about how people, if when you listen to that voice, it says, don't do that, that you can ignore it or you can pay attention to it and obey it. And that will change your life when you start listening and obeying your heart's voice. 24, I stop myself and think before I make important choices. So many kids, I always say to them, how many of you have been told, did you stop and think before you did that? And all their hands go up. No, we didn't stop, we just did it, right? And so what happens when you go through life and you don't think before you do something? Like Will Smith did the other day in the Oscars, right? He didn't stop and think before he went up and slapped that man. He just had zero emotional intelligence, and then he really regretted it afterwards. 25, I think about the consequences of my choices. Do you stop and think, wow, if I do that, I'll be in so much trouble? The consequences of my choices. 26, I think about how my choices affect other people. So many kids don't think about, my mom would be so sad if I, talk about what that means, how what they do affects the other people in their lives. 27, I realize my choices can lead to suffering or happiness. This is huge. That what you decide on can make you happy or ruin your life. One little choice at a time is either going to be a happiness choice or one that makes you suffer. 28, I make choices that lead to happiness, and 29, I make choices that lead to suffering. So get them to own that. Are you happy pretty much all the time? Then you make choices that lead to happiness, etc. 31, I am an instant gratifier. My students, that's definitely in Daniel Goleman's book, Instant Gratification, and how, if you've ever seen that, it's a wonderful video of the marshmallow test of these 4-year-olds who are given a marshmallow, and if they will wait and not satisfy their desire to eat it right now, if they'll wait, they'll get 2 in 5 minutes. And so you have to watch that. It's online if you haven't ever watched it. And they learned from that research that the 4-year-olds, they followed them up for the next 20 years, and they found out the ones who waited and waited for the second one, and they weren't instant gratifiers, were so much more successful. It was a test of their future success. It's amazing. So my kids learn what instant gratification is and how it can really hurt you. 32, I compare myself to others. Girls, especially middle school girls, do that so much, and they hate themselves as a result of it. Get them to see that when you look at another girl and say, I wish I looked like her, or the boys compare themselves athletically, and also, muscularly, like physical development, how they always feel bad about themselves, well, usually anyway, when they compare. 33, I enjoy school. I had quite a few kids this year that do not like school. It is so disheartening. We have such a wonderful school. And the students, yesterday a student said to me, I'm just trying to get through school, Miss LaField. You know, I asked him if he was working on being a master, because he's a good boy and he's smart, and he just doesn't care. And he just said, I just want to get through school. It was like, I wish I could help you. I wish I could help you. You know, not every student is going to really buy into everything that you want to teach them. 34, I work hard to achieve my absolute best. Work hard, absolute best. As in good, better, best, never let it rest. So really talk about that one. I'm going fast, but let me tell you, I go slowly when we go over this. It could take 3 days, 4 days to go over it. 36, respect my parents. Boy, really talk about that now. Do you whine and groan when they ask you to do things? Are there fights in your home, you know, etc., etc.? Many students circle 36. They don't respect their parents. They talk back, etc. 37, I respect my teachers. Okay. 38, becoming a better person is important to me. I really have considered making that number 1. If becoming a better person isn't important to kids or to people, none of this is important. They won't focus on any of it. They won't work on their goals if it's not important. So one of these days, I may take number 38 and make it number 1. I'm really thinking about that. 39, I believe I have the power to change myself. Kids must believe that they can change. Oh my gosh, that is so important. Talk to them about the choices that they make. Change them in one way or the other and let it be for the good. The power to change yourself, to make up your mind, to make a decision and stick by it. 40, I believe I have the power to create a great life. So many kids have no hope. Like, why even try? So talk about how this is about hope. You do all these things and you will have a great life. 41, I am grateful. This is a huge part of emotional intelligence, being grateful. Instead of being unhappy because you don't have this or that or the other, you're grateful because you do have this, that, or the other. We're working on that right now in a big way. In the whole school, I have a major thrust on no more complaining at home or at school. And kids are stopping themselves from complaining and working on being grateful. 42, I'm humble. This is a tough one. I'm still working on teaching my kids what humility is. Basically, I teach them that humility means it's not about you. Your whole world isn't about you. Yesterday, as I was teaching second graders, there was a little argument that erupted over who was first in line. You've heard that one. And so they got really upset. A couple boys got really upset about it. And I said, this is a good chance to teach you what a humble person would do. A humble person would say, it's okay, you can be first, and they would go to the end of the line. So on humility, teaching them to be humble, I take examples out of the day when things happen, and I share. Now, if you were humble, this is what you would do. And that's the best way to teach humility. This is my number 1 goal in life, to be a humble human being. 43, I consider ways to make others happy. That is emotional intelligence. You think of ways to make your mom happy. I make wise use of my time, and that is the skills of independence, and definitely all about emotional intelligence. I enjoy learning new things. 46, I say thank you like I mean it. Now that was not in Daniel Goleman's book, but it's a part about being grateful, showing that you're grateful by saying thank you. I'm so big on saying thank you like you mean it. It's huge. I'm like, now what do you need to say to me? Oh, thank you, Miss LaField. And I'll say, I didn't feel that. Thank you, Miss LaField. And I'll say, how about this? Thank you, Miss LaField. And I teach them how to say it with enthusiasm. 47, you're going to love it. I obey the first time with the right heart. We talk about what obedience with a right heart is. Oh my gosh. It's like mom asks you to do something and you don't say, do I have to do that now? I'd rather whatever, and whine. Instead you go, okay mom, I'll do that right now. And how happy that will make your mother, how it affects others, and how it creates happiness. I strive to make the world a better place. I love that one. Is it all about you, or are you trying to make the world a better place? 49, I strive to reach my full potential, and so many kids have no idea what that is. So talk about that. And number 50, I have a growth mindset. Got to get that in there. And I added that over the years because Goldman, in his book in 1996, did not use the word growth mindset, but it's striving to reach your full potential. It's absolutely emotional intelligence. And so you can see from that, it's an exhaustive, almost exhaustive list, but by the time the kids finish that one, they have circled certain numbers. They know what they need to work on to be more emotionally intelligent. And in closing today, I just want to emphasize that they have to know that emotional intelligence, that 80% of their success in life is dependent on their degree of emotional intelligence. That they don't have to be super smart in math and science and the best reader in the class, etc., the sharpest tool in the box. The most important thing is this list right here. And that when they work on these goals, one day at a time, and become more emotionally intelligent, they cannot help but respect themselves more, like themselves more as a result of it, create happiness in their own hearts, happiness for others, more success in school. I go on and on about it, how this is the most important thing we do all year, is help you become emotionally intelligent. So I hope you love it. I've done it. I've used it for about 30 years now, and it has changed my students' lives. So I know in the days to come we'll have more questions about emotional intelligence, and I'll be talking about those. But for now, today is the last day on emotional intelligence, and I'm going to introduce next video the journals in which we record their emotional IQ goals. So for today, thank you so much. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.